So I've got a kind of semi-serious question for you, Kit. One of my relatives, we think, is just on the brink of falling for a massive romance stroke investment scam. Thinks that they're in love, just about to go and buy a house in a different country.
In Africa, I think.
Yeah.
Never
Everyone's saying this is a scam, and they're completely like, no, I'm in love, this is it. I mean, and they might be, and it might be it.
Never met them.
What would you say to them to try and kind of pull them back from the brink?
Oh, man. That's like some of the hardest things that I've dealt with. You know, you just asked a minute ago, Kieran, like, about the yelling and what do I do to center myself out. It's those are the sorts of situations that are more like after I deal with talking to victims or potential victims are some of the hardest, because I have met people who think that they're married and think that they have children with or like adopted children with these scammers even. Gosh, I wish I had like a one sentence to say that would be perfect. I think a lot of it is that there are people who make it you become their job, and every single day they are messaging you love stories and messages to make it seem like you're in love, but they're doing this for dozens of people, and it's their job. And I don't know if that somehow,
I mean, he's just unfortunately his mother died recently, so he's actually just inherited hundreds of thousands of euros.
Hang on, are you trying to scam Kit here?
No, we're not. No, this is actually serious.
And they're just looking for investment.
Yeah, we've got a very attractive
Kit,
scheme.
you know, he's going to lose money, and we're wondering if you could help out.
Yeah,
you know,
maybe
just
if I
use an
give you
account.
some, you know, if you could maybe transfer some funds to us. But yeah, no,
Well, why don't I let you connect to my computer first?
I've got another question, which was really on this sort of personal drive, and this is a rhetorical question because I kind of know this about you. You've made this public about your grandma. I just wanted to say, you know, my mother-in-law, Emily and I married, so this is Emily's mother, talked to a business scammer for over 2 hours while we were in the house, and she was like, be quiet, I'm talking, you know, this is this person. And it was like, and we're like, what is this about? Why are you getting your credit cards out? I'm not getting my credit cards, they're the business credit cards. And she was reading out all this stuff to this guy for about 2 hours. And at the end of it, we said, why did you do that? I don't know, I kind of knew it was wrong. And we're like, and she rang up Marks and Spencer's. I don't know if you have that in the States. Here it's a superstore, and you have your card. And she was going through cancelling all the cards. And the Marks and Spencer's customer support service woman called her stupid. And my question to you is, do you think she was stupid?
No. Sometimes I get those comments on YouTube or the live streams, and I always, if I ever see it, I try to make it a point to clap back, as the kids say. I think that's just false. So many people of all ages, of all walks of life, fall for these things, and it's because they catch you at the right time, or they're able to manipulate you with certain data they know about you or your family. I don't think they were stupid at all. You know?
Kit, what keeps you going? Because there is a darkness to this whole side, as we've been exploring, but also your stuff, like Kieran said, it's so funny, it's so entertaining. Does that keep you going? What keeps you going? What motivates you? What makes you feel hopeful amidst all this darkness and evil, really?
Well, a lot of it is like I have kids, and I want the world to be better for them. So I think that's a big part of it. But I also see, like, in the midst of, even like after going to Gaza and hearing some of the things that are going on, or I think all of us have an inside look at just how bad fraud is in the world. But there's days where, amidst all of the, let's say, darkness of how bad it is, I feel like the only way to respond is, like, I'm not going to give up, right? I'm not going to just concede and say, well, I guess the bad guys win, and especially when I have kids, it's like this is going to be my life's mission now, is to do the best I can.
I think we're in that as well, and I think I really do believe that the narrative, the story needs to be told, because actually it's still quite hard to get basic things like database resources. It costs a lot to actually fight scam and abuse. You're looking at since we've got the Google data, there's just a plethora of data and signals, and you need to process them all and find out this, so it needs stories like yours to keep people engaged. Wouldn't you agree, Kieran?
Yeah, I do. I was having lots of thoughts on that. I was really intrigued what you're saying about someone is there and they're looking after or falling in love with 20 people, sending them poems and all that. I wonder, you must have to get into these people's heads in order to drive them as crazy as you drive them. Do they take a certain pride, or they feel like they are doing a good job, or what's the mindset? Are they aware that they are ruining people's lives? What's going on in their heads?
Yeah, I've talked to a handful of them, and I think I've seen the range from new scammers who are concerned about what they're doing and have some ethical framework left, and I've also talked to scammers who just don't care at all, and even if they did know that they were ruining someone's life, they're not concerned about anyone's life but their own, like just zero empathy at all. But I think if I could, one more thing quickly, is that I think some of them believe like more developed countries, or I've heard them say things like, well, you're in America and like you have plenty of money. So they think of themselves kind of as Robin Hood as well.
Yes. And I think that I'm really interested in. Emily and I went to elite drama schools in London in our earlier days. So but the big thing that
we know poverty.
We know poverty. Yes, we know about. But no, this is my real question for you, is about empathy. You're taught as an actor, if you're playing Hitler, you've got to empathize with him. You've got to understand that he feels like a victim. He's vegetarian, that, and all of this. You've got to try and get inside the heads of the people that you're working with. I noticed from your background, you're an engineer, but you're bloody good at improvising. You've got to think on your feet. You don't know what they're going to say and come back with. You're like, I've forgotten my card. I can't remember this. And, you've got to really think on your feet, but you've got to occupy the character that you're playing, and you're doing. Is there any performing background there? Is there any arts background there?
Yeah, not really, other than I really liked improv, and I didn't ever get formally trained, but I would go to improv shows and watch people do improv. I was shouting out things in the audience. There's also a show, Whose Line Is It Anyway? That I quite liked to watch. The other thing that I think that helps me is, having done this so many times, I usually say I know the script better than the scammer does at this point. And so that really helps, because yes, I'm doing improv, but I also have a general, I know what's going to happen, right? I know what their MO is. I know what the next page of the script is already. So it kind of helps me to be thinking about that in the moment.
I loved it when you got the scammer singing to you, and making up ridiculous songs. They were great. Was that just spur of the moment, or you thought, I'm going to get this guy to sing to me?
Probably. I mean, sometimes it's random, other times, because I do this live a lot, there will be people in the audience, almost like an improv show, saying, oh, what if you got him to sing, or what if you did this? Some of the funniest moments for me have been people in the community suggesting something. Like one time I was telling a scammer that I was just really afraid to drive. I hadn't driven in years since the accident. And then people in chat were like, well, what if he sang you a song to make it easier for you to drive the car? Brilliant.
So you're actually getting cues and prompts and ideas from people in the chat. I think that's wonderful. Kieran, before your next question, we're running out of time. It's time for our Tech Room 101. Room 101. KITBOGA, what of internet or technology or something vaguely connected with it, what would you like to chuck in the bin forever?
Yeah, I was thinking about this, and I have maybe two thoughts. I'll give you the main one. Right now, probably would be I don't know if you're familiar with this, but there's some AI models that they've been training recently that are essentially like you can make any clothed image nude. And I think I would just delete that if I could right click delete anything. I think it's going to cause immense pain and suffering and scams.
A huge problem out there and a very big topic. But before you go, number 2.
Oh, yeah, I think the second one is I've just been dealing with, it's really difficult to get websites and domains shut down. A lot of the providers, I don't know if it's they don't have the time or the resources or what it is, but we're dealing with all these scammers that I face. And then I send all of my information over to like a web host or a domain provider.
Huge topic. Emily, you deal with the nude. Kieran, you deal with how easy it is to shut down domains and websites.
Well, Kit, I just wanted to say there was some legislation, I think it was either passed or proposed here last week in the UK to make that sort of activity illegal. So rather than banning the tool itself, to make the activity illegal. Because you're right, it's really hard to think about legitimate purposes for that, but I'm sure there are some artistic ones, but the pain and suffering, I mean, you were at the Global Anti-Scam Summit with us last year, where there was an incredibly moving story about sextortion and particularly the targeting of teenagers, some of whom had taken their own lives because of the shame of sending an intimate image to somebody thinking that was a trusted person and it turning out to be a scammer. So, yeah, I completely agree with you. It's really awful to think about the pain and suffering on that.
And Kieran, taking down websites and domains, KITBOGA says that's a pretty hard thing to do as an internet professional who's dealt with hosting, domain names, websites, and all of those parts of the internet industry. What do you think about that question?
Yeah, well, this is kind of our wheelhouse, isn't it? It's been a very long and ongoing problem. I think you should flag that. You have a big audience. I think you should piece together in your entertaining way. If it's obvious and provable that somebody is using a particular domain to scam people, then the company that is able to take it down should obviously take it down. So I think we are trying to not put a spotlight on it, but certainly say to people, look, you know that this is scammy. You know that this should come down. And I understand the arguments that the industry has, which is that we can't expect us to take down everything just because we get a report. But when it is super clear, then it's got to come down. You're not being a good citizen if you don't do it. So I would encourage you to use the platform you have to do exactly that.
Thank you. I have a few times. I almost hate doing it, but I don't. I prefer to keep it, to some emails or DMs. Right. I don't like drama, but there has been a few times that I've gone on social media and said, like, what gives? Why won't you shut this down? I've reported it. I've called you a dozen times, and then suddenly they shut the website down because
it's really interesting.
It doesn't always work though.
Oh, Kit, because we work across different industry verticals and we see like totally different practices and expectations. So here in the UK, the internet service providers and the banks have got really long-standing cooperation, and they will react within fractions of a second if they're alerted to problems, whereas the domain industry is still in its sort of, hey, it's not our problem
teenage world
versus okay, well, we might do something within 72 hours. So there's a huge disparity in the acceptable reaction times, even if the party is actually playing ball.